I know who Al Harvey is because my parents wrote for them and performed on his show in the late 40s. They did make some records, the Harvey brothers. They are impossible to find. They did make some videos. They're online, but they made them in England. They didn't do television. Who are Al and Bob Harvey? They are on sheet music, which did sell in Canada into the 1930s. Betty, is it okay if I pass this around? Yes. Yeah, I'm going to pass this around. Look among yourselves there. Well, let's first of all hear what they sound like. Let's play the first clip that we have here, and it's a song that I'm sure everybody knows from camp, so you can sing along with it.
There's a quartermaster, everybody knows. There's a song about him, this is how it goes. Just a little ditty doesn't mean a thing, but when the boys are marching, how they love to sing. There was cheese, cheese, wafting on the breeze in the stores, in the stores. There was ham, ham, mixed up with the jam in the quartermaster's store. My eyes are dim, I cannot see. I have not brought my specs with me. I have not brought my specs with me.
Oi, chummy, what about a bit of bread?
Bread? Sure, we gotta have some bread to go with the gravy. Bring on the bread. There was bread, bread, just like lumps of lead in the stores, in the stores. There were buns, buns, bullets for the guns in the quartermaster's store. My eyes are dim, I cannot see. I have not brought my specs with me. I have not brought my specs with me.
Oi, you got any mice down there?
Mice? Oh, me pheasants have them, chap, pheasants. There were mice, mice, eating up the rice in the stores, in the stores. There were rats, rats, big as blooming cats in the quartermaster's store. My eyes are dim, I cannot see. I have not brought my specs with me. I have not brought my specs with me.
Hey, what about setting up a bit of meat?
Meat, that's okay, boss. You want a roast beef sandwich coming? There was meat, meat, meat you couldn't eat in the stores, in the stores. There were eggs, eggs, nearly growing legs in the quartermaster's store. My eyes are dim, I cannot see. I have not brought my specs with me. I have not brought my specs with me.
Wait, what, no beer?
Beer and how? Roll up the barrel. There is beer, beer, beer you can't get near in the stores, in the stores. There is rum, rum for the general's come in the quartermaster's store. My eyes are dim, I cannot see. I have not brought my specs with me. I have not brought my specs with me.
Thank you all for singing along. Al and Bob Harvey on a Decca record made in England, February the 2nd, 1940. What were they doing recording in England? Why weren't they recording here? Canadian recording industry. They did make records in the 1920s. Let's hear one of those first, and then, by the way, you're going to put up with surface noise and scratch because their 20s records are made for the various compo labels, Apex, Domino, pressed on red clay that was rejected in Sudbury. Honest, the quality of these things is horrible, and they are incredibly difficult to find. And yet they managed to make about 10 or 12 sides for these labels between 1925 and 1928. Here they are singing in close harmony like other groups of the time, like Billy Jones and Ernie Hare and Van and Skank. Al and Bob as the A&B Battery Boys, because that was their radio name. A typical performance from 1926.
Here I go, singing low, bye, bye, blackbird. Where somebody waits for me, sugar sweet, so is she, bye, bye, blackbird. No one here can love and understand me, but how the stories they all can be. Make my bed and light the light, I'm alive, late tonight, blackbird, bye bye. Bluebird, call me far away, I've been longing for you. Bluebird, what I hear you say, skies are turning to blue. I'm like a flower that's fading here, where every hour is one more tear. Bluebird, this is my lucky day, now my dreams will come true. Pack up all my care and woe, here I go, singing low, bye, bye, blackbird. Where somebody waits for me, sugar sweet, so is she, bye, bye, blackbird. No one here can love and understand me, what kind of stories they all can be. Make my bed and light the light, I'll alive, make you bright, blackbird.
Not bad, charming. Nothing really distinguishing it from the way they sounded a few years later, or to make them stand out from Van and Skank, Happiness Boys, or Gosden and Carell, who all went on to much bigger things. But the Harvey brothers were in vaudeville across Canada at this time. Al Harvey had a song in a Dumbbells review in 1923. We don't have much biographical information at all, and I've been looking for months. I've got some newspaper articles, I've got files, I've got references. You can't find anything on the library site in Ottawa. Some old microfilm pieces have given me information about their radio days. We know their father was Bert Harvey, who was in vaudeville and who toured all over the North America, played Massey Hall in 1896, made a cylinder apparently, which was sold here at a meeting some years back. Not much beyond that, but the A&B guys, later known as Eveready Batteries, same company. Here's something a little bit more in character as they developed during that same year, and then we'll hear what they sounded like more on the radio. But they get to do some dialect in Barcelona, 1926.
In the town of Barcelona, in sunny old Spain, in sunny old Spain. Someone off the key, in a style that's all of my own, I sang to a maid, a sweet serenade. Oh, her name was a woe, though in Spanish they spoke. By their voices I could tell that to leave was just as well, but I'll go back, yes, I'll go back. I'll marry the belle of Barcelona.
Say, is it in Spain?
I think it's in Spain. I like it so well in Barcelona.
That's where you'll remain.
I guess I'll remain. Tonight I'll serenade her. I bought a second-hand guitar.
If alone you can persuade her, you'll take along her father's car.
I'll marry the belle of Barcelona.
She loves you, I know,
'Cause I told her so. I'll marry the belle of Barcelona.
you marry in spring.
Or maybe in fall. I like it so well in Barcelona.
Forever you'll stay.
Or maybe I'll leave. I think her name was Senorita. Her eyes were black or baby brown.
But then you'll know her when you meet her. She has the one clean neck in town.
I'll marry the belle of Barcelona.
You certainly will.
Well, maybe I won't. I'm the belle of Barcelona.
Maybe you slept.
I might have been pushed. Who knows? Weather is well in Barcelona. The sky doesn't blue,
Except when it rains.
I think her name was Senorita.
Or was it cold or Rosenstein?
Well, it won't matter when I meet her, because she won't remember mine. I'll marry the belle of Barcelona, and if she says no, I'll ask her again.
Al and Bob, or the A&B Battery Boys, or occasionally they got their whole names on the record, but not all that often. They were doing a lot of radio, though. They were the A&B Battery Boys. They sold radios and batteries. They were on CHYC in Montreal doing personal appearances. They were CKNC in Toronto. They did the grand opening of the station that became the big Windsor powerhouse there, 1930, CKLW. It was known as CKOC in 1932. When it became a CBS affiliate, and the Harvey Boys and Lieutenant Gitz Rice and Jeffrey O'Hara, the Toronto comedy team of Al and Bob Harvey were part of the big festivities there. Records, let's have one more here before we move into a somewhat more modern sound, and this is kind of like their vaudeville act. It runs about 6 minutes. It incorporates 4 songs and patter in between them. And it's called The Love of Lila, and in this case, the label listed them as Bob and Al Harvey and Company. And Company, a piano player.
Why, good evening, Al. Howdy do, Bob. I was just wondering if you'd be out tonight to take in our annual square dance.
Yes, it certainly looks like a hot time in the old town tonight. But where are you off to?
I'm just going over to call for Lila. And before the night's over, I'm going to propose to that there girl.
You know what you're going to say?
But tell me, should a fellow propose to a girl on his knee?
Well, either that or she should get off. Have you ever kissed a girl, Al?
I really couldn't say.
Why, what do you mean you really couldn't say? That's absurd.
Oh, no, it isn't. You see, I promised this young lady I wouldn't tell. But tonight...
I want a spoon beneath the shady tree. I want a croon, a girlie on my knee. I want to tell her words of love so true, and put my arms around her like the big boys do. I want to say I like to hold her hand while the moon is up above. I want to sing to her a love-sting song. As long as her daddy doesn't come along, I want to be her little turtle dove. Mother, you're in a bad way. I hear you and Lila had a little quarrel last week.
Yes, the other night we were playing that shooting star game. You know, every time you see a star fall, you kiss the girl once.
I can't see anything wrong about that.
No, but I snuck in a couple of lightning bugs and she caught me.
You should have sung her the little stuttering song entitled, If You Can't Be Nice, Don't Be Nasty.
Well, we'll just do that now. If you can't be nice, don't be nasty, 'cause I'm not nasty, dear, to you. Won't you try to love me, just the way my mother used to do. I love to feel your face upon my whiskers, and I love to bounce you on my knee. But best of all, I like to kiss you, and I like to have you kissing me. If you can't be nice, don't be nasty, 'cause I'm not nasty, dear, to you. Won't you try to love me, just the way my mother used to do. Someday I hope that we will be married, and running round our house in love there's bound to be the cutest little bunch of chickens, and they'll all belong to you and me. Well, I guess I'll go around and call for Lila now.
All right, see you later. Well, they weren't going long, Al.
No, Lila just lives around the corner. She was practicing her singing lesson when I got there.
I didn't know Lila could sing.
Why, you can barely see the chords in that girl's neck.
How do you and Lila's mother get along?
I haven't much use for her mother. She's one of those crystal gazers.
What do you mean, a crystal gazer?
Why, she's always looking at her watch when I'm there.
Are you sure you're in love with the girl, Al?
Why, there ain't no doubt I'm wild about Lila, and I wonder if Lila's wild about me. The stars above know you're in love with Lila, and the moon and the sun have just begun to see. I've introduced her to my dad and mother, and some night soon I'll take her round for tea. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I'm wild about Lila, and I wonder if Lila's wild about me. I hear you bought a car. Yes, Bob, my doctor advised me to get out more and lose flesh.
And are you getting out more and losing flesh?
Well, I had to get out 4 times this afternoon, and I noticed tonight the horn is indifferent.
What do you mean, the horn's indifferent?
Why, it doesn't give a hoot, that's all.
Well, if you don't soon get into that dance, Lila won't be giving a hoot for you. Then you'll be sitting in the moonlight, waiting all alone for a little girlie to love, telling all my troubles to the man in the moon. And I know that he will find me one soon. Maybe she's a brunette, maybe she's a blonde, but it doesn't matter as long as she's my own. I only want somebody to love, sitting in the moonlight alone. Sitting in the moonlight, waiting all alone for a little girlie to love, telling all her troubles to the man in the moon. I know that he will find me one soon. Maybe she's a brunette, maybe she's a blonde, but it doesn't matter as long as she's my own. I only want somebody to love, sitting in the moonlight alone. Goodbye, Al. Goodbye, Bob. See you again. And so long.
That was subtitled A Musical Comedy, The Love of Lila, on an Apex record made in February of 1928. And that's one of the better quality records I've managed to find by them. As I say, they are rare and they are pressed on garbage. What are you going to do? We do have some better sounding stuff coming up in about a moment or so. I would like to talk about the boys on the radio. They were on network radio before we had the CBC. We didn't have a CBC till late 1936. We had the CRBC beginning in 1932. But we had chain radio from the railroads. CP and CN both had widespread radio broadcasts linking up private stations. And in 1930, they were involved in a very popular show called Melody Mike's Music Shop. Melody Junction, somewhere on the prairies, just across from the train station. We had Al and Bob. We had a couple of veterans from the Dumbbells. Scotty McGregor, played by Jack McLaren. Melody Mike was Harry Rich. They had both come out of the Dumbbells reviews. The humor sounds like, I don't think we'll even bother with some of the characters. All right, I am going to talk about this one, because the reviews were great. Al and Bob Harvey, known for music, they supposedly sung before the Prince of Wales. Now that may be a misprint, because apparently the Melody Mike program took place in the Prince of Wales salon of the Windsor Hotel. Somebody reinterpreted that as they played for before the Prince of Wales. And then the Prince of Wales got up and they went home. A Miss Evelyn Biddle wrote the show. She taught school in rural Ontario, where her knowledge of atmosphere was acquired and where she gained a wide experience from which such characters as Simplicity Sawdust, Deacon Scratch Gravel, Abe, Whiskers Wilson, and Lackaday Liz were evolved. Wowie. The boys made at least 5 records for Apex. There may be 2 more, according to Jack Litchfield, who kindly dug up the dates on these things. I'd like to see Jack on one of these. I haven't seen him in years. But he's still out there answering requests for dates and info. He didn't have the date for the one record they made at the Victor Studios in 1933, but then Victor information is lost to most of us. It's on a 2-sided Bluebird record, and it's a little more typical of the kind of stuff that Al and Bob did a little bit later through the 30s. This one was made just before they took off for England.
Down in West Virginia lived a gal named Nancy Brown. You've never seen such beauty in city or in town. Nancy and the teacher climbed the mountainside one noon. They got up near the summit, but very, very soon she came rolling down the mountain. She came rolling down the mountain. She came rolling down the mountain from above. For she left her bold companion to the coyotes in the canyon when the feller tried to tell her words of love. She was there a-knitting woolen undies for her dad when she beheld a cowboy in a Sunday suit of plaid. How'd you like to hike, dear? He remarked and raised his hat. Again they climbed the mountain, but shortly after that she came rolling down the mountain. She came rolling down the mountain. She came rolling down the mountain far and wide. When he tried to get to Pally, Nancy headed toward the valley, for she wouldn't vow to be a cowboy's bride. City slicker who had $100 bills came a-riding in his auto to the West Virginia hills. Nancy looked him over, saying, "There's the man for me." She stepped into his roadster, and the rest is history. Oh, she stayed up in the mountain. Oh, she stayed up in the mountain. Oh, she stayed up in the mountain with delight. For that handsome city slicker made her girlish heart beat quicker, and her pappy chased the hussy out of sight. Nancy and the slicker, they were married right away. She got a diamond bracelet on her happy wedding day. Though she's in the city, she remembers now and then the lovers who pursued her and the many moments when she came rolling down the mountain. She came rolling down the mountain. She came rolling down the mountain by the still. Oh, her life is dear and Skittles, and she's even dandy fiddles, and she owes it all to West Virginia hills.
Quite a little ensemble they had on that one, wasn't there? They had violin, they had guitar, they had piano, they had a mouth organ. It's like it's all left over from a La Balduc session. It was recorded for Victor, not for the compo folks. They were doing quite a bit of hillbilly type material in 1933 and 34, and that's the repertoire they took to Britain when they went there and became very popular on radio and stage and some film work. And they may have done early television too, because the BBC was experimenting with just about everything they could get from people standing in front of a camera. And they began to make records more frequently in 1935 for Decca and for English Columbia. We're going to jump ahead a couple of years for this next song because I have two different versions of it. A song that they wrote about a girl they liked, but evidently they liked a lot of girls. Let's find out about We Like Eliza. The audio first.
This world is full of pretty girls, we can't get on without them. In spite of what some people say, there's something nice about them. But you can have your Mabel, Mary, Genevieve, or Pearl, 'cause in our estimation there is only just one girl. We like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. Now I know a girl and her name is Annie. She's so dumb that she thinks Fanny Ward is just a part of any good infirmary. Oh, we like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. Take it easy, Dora. Now I know a girl and her name is Dora. She's so tough that she drinks chloroform to get a kick before a half a dozen gyms. Oh, we like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. Oy, 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 well look who's here. I know a girl and her name is Lizzie. She went around with a guy named Dizzy. Is he smart? I'll say he is. He married her for her money. Oh, we like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. Russia, Russia down by the Volga. Yes, and I know a girl and her name is Olga. She had feet so big her old galoshes she used to rent to the Volga boatman for a purse. Oh, we like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. So now I'm into the old Emerald Isle. I know a girl and her name is Sally. She's the one who lives in our alley. You'd get a thrill to see her ballet dancing on the stage. Oh, we like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. Up, guy, laddie, come on here so we can have a Jew. Now I know a girl and her name is Jenny. She's as canny a scut as any. She wouldn't even spend a penny for a tubby stamp. Oh, we like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. Ah, Paris, the Frenchman's death. I know a girl and her name is Mitzi. She drove a man right out of his wits. He got so mad he threw 10 fits. He did. I saw him do it. Oh, we like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza.
There they are with Eliza around January of 1938. Now, I was surprised to find a video of this same song when I looked through about 4 or 5 Pathé short subjects that they did in the mid to late 30s. But they got different girls. I think only Lizzie survived the transition. This is not well mic'd. They didn't have body mics and they didn't hide a mic in the flower pots. They mic'd it from way back there. So, still, this showed in theaters and people liked it. Let's see what they look like in the same number for Pathé Films.
We like Eliza, we like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. That's a good song, I like that. Okay, hey, wait, audience, people, we're on. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody. What do you mean, good evening? It might be a morning matinee. Oh, well, what's the difference? There's one thing we agree on anyway, Al. That's right. I'm going to tell them all about it. Good. This world is full of pretty girls. We can't get on without them. That's right. In spite of what some people say, there's something nice about them. But you can have your Mabel, Mary, Genevieve, or Pearl. Because in our estimation, there is only just one girl. We like Eliza. We like Eliza. It's girls like us, make men like us, like girls like Eliza. Now I know a girl and her name is Sarah. She won't go for a ride in an aeroplane because she likes the terra firma under her feet. Okay? Now I know a girl and her name is Judy. She has studied all the rudiments of music to decide if the music goes round and round. But we like Eliza. We like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. My turn now. Okay. Now I know a girl and her name is Esther. She has to wear a woolen vest. Her mother made her wear it yesterday to keep her warm. But I know a girl and her name is Lizzie. She went around with a guy named Dizzy. Is he smart? I'll say he is. He married her for her money. But we like Eliza. We like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza. Now anybody in the audience, just call out your favorite name and we'll sing a little chorus about her. Who? Cuthbert. We only sing about girls. Sure. You know that, Cuthbert? Gotcha. Anybody else? Now just call them out. Lena. Oh, that's a good one. Now I know a girl and her name is Lena. She's not here because she's been away in Amsterdam between a fortnight and 3 weeks. Thought you had me stuck in there. I'll bet you, Bob. Here it is. I know a girl and her name is Sally. She's the one who lives in our alley. You'd get a thrill to see her belly dancing on the stage. But we like Eliza. We like Eliza. It's girls like her make men like us, like girls like Eliza.
Cheerio. Yeah, you get the whole spiel there. They were all over the radio in the mid to late 30s. They're listed as doing about 70 to 80 programs that we know about, according to the logs. I don't know if they ever came back to Canada during those days. They may have gone back and forth once or twice, maybe 39, but travel wasn't advised at that time. But they stayed in England into 1940, and they were still making radio appearances and making records. And here's a song that I think they brought back with them because the Happy Gang would record it later and include it in their songbook. They got it from Ray Sonnen, who didn't come here until the 50s. Ray Sonnen wrote the lyrics to Mr. Alford's famous Colonel Bogey March, turned it into Good Luck and The Same to You. The Same to You, by the way, is part of a dirty refrain that this song had for years that used to go, BS was all the band could play, and every English person from 40s, 50s, 60s knows that reference. It even made it into Beyond the Fringe. But more innocent, here is Good Luck and The Same to You, Al and Bob, during the early weeks of the Phony War, October the 20th of 1939.
Good luck, and the same to you. Good luck in everything you do. Blackouts and never blot out the silver lining that comes shining through. No, we're not downhearted. Britain is going to smile and grin. Britain is going to fight and win. Cheer up, the skies will clear up, and soon our boys will be home once again. Here's luck to the lads in navy blue, the army and the air force too. Here's good luck to women volunteers
Their work deserves 3 hearty cheers. Here's a hand for the grand old ARP. Nobody shirks, everyone works unselfishly. This is a fight for right, and soon we'll be marching along to victory. Hitler, we're marching on your tail. Hitler, no wonder you turned pale. Look out, best get your book out, or you will need it to read it in jail just before they hang you. Hitler, although it may sound harsh, Britain will pull your darn mustache. Villain, whose name is Hitler, you'll be much littler before we are through. To see it through. Hitler, this means the end of you. Goring, the lions roaring, and Ribbentrop soon topple into like the other nasties. Hitler, remember Kaiserville. Hitler, you'd better make your will. Hitler, with Tom and Jack out, this is your blackout, so Hitler, you're through.
That's in October of 1939. The record we opened with in the Quartermaster stores was made in February of 1940, but shortly thereafter they returned to Canada. We know they were in Canada in September of 1940 because they were judges at the Miss Canada contest at the CNE that year. With Tommy Dorsey and singer Patricia Bailey. There are some photographs, but they were a little bit difficult, and actually the boys weren't in the one photograph. The one that they did have actually had only the girls, and you didn't want to see that, did you? 1940 they were back on the radio. 1941 they were doing the Good Luck Club and some other similar good luck type stuff. Matter of fact, we'll hear a complete good luck program, but first of all, let's hear the song that they sang all over the place and as a constantly revived theme on the Good Luck program. It was the one that said, "We live on the sunny side," also known as the News. And it's the first and only recording that they made back in Canada about 1940 or 41. Mr. Herbert Berliner put it on the Decca label. That was awfully nice of them. Let's hear the News.
Now life is monotonous, yes, for a lot of us. If we just sit here and take it, we must keep on hustling, planning and bustling. Life can be just what you make it. So let's go on singing and constantly bringing a song of good cheer to the nation. Now here is a sample. Let's set an example by singing the latest sensation. Oh, we live on the sunny side where we see the funny side, and through life we'll always be good pals together. Your turn, Bob. Stand up here, boy.
Prices on a lot of things have taken quite a jump, and many people say today that they don't like the bump.
But there's no use complaining about a few new taxes. We'd be a lot worse off if we were governed by the Axis. Whoa, we live on the sunny side where we see the funny side, and through life we'll always be good pals together. Start her off, brother, start her off.
Mr. Churchill made it plain as only Churchill can. He said, if you'll supply the tools, we'll beat that Hitler man.
So let's all get together, and if nobody shirks, perhaps you'll be the one to throw the wrench in Hitler's works. Oh, we live
the sunny side, where we see the funny side, and through life we'll always be good pals together.
Everybody join in the next chorus. Don't forget, next chorus.
British Blenheim bombers are bamboozling Berlin. They're in and out before the Germans know how they got in.
And while we're on the subject, do you remember when they crept right in and crippled Krups, then crept right out again?
Oh, we live on the sunny side, where we see the funny side, and through life we'll always be good pals together.
This is your last chance, folks, to join in the chorus.
Now Hitler says each patriotic German he'll allow on dogs to feast when they have ceased to bark out their bow-bow.
He's had complaints from Paris, and every single troop objects to eating oodles of French poodle noodle soup.
Oh, we live on the sunny side, where we see the funny side, and through life we'll always be, oh, to be good pals together.
Cheerio!
Their voices are very similar for the first few years, and then Al's gets huskier, so that's a point where you can tell them apart. But they looked alike. You look at the video, I think it's established that Al is the one at the piano, so we'll take it for granted that he was at the piano on this one. Now, radio. They were all over the place with the Good Luck Club, which and they had a couple of others that go into the middle and late 40s, and then Bob kind of is out of the act after about 1945. Al keeps on going at least into 1951. Are there radio programs of them in the 1940s? Well, there is about 3 Good Luck Club programs, and this is similar to the Happy Gang. There's a bit of a crossover because the Good Luck Club also featured Bert Pearl and Bob Farnan and probably Jimmy Namaro and Blaine Matthew, although they aren't mentioned in the program. Actually, this is more selling Robin Hood flour, and Al Savage takes care of that. This was recorded at the RCA studios in 1942 for broadcast on various stations on a network. A few glass discs existed of these programs some years back. I think I got these from John Black. Sound is a little rough, but you're not going to find these anyplace else. Let's have about a 10-minute visit with Al and Bob and company, and this is the only time you're ever going to get to hear a piano duet involving Bob Farnan and Bert Pearl. They didn't make any records together. Bob is not known as a pianist. Bert played piano for the gang. They did play together on a radio program. Here it is.
Here comes the program for people with frayed nerves. Just a quiet, restful, soothing interlude with Al and Bob Harvey and Bob Farnan's music. Of course, I could be wrong about that, but not about the energy supplying value or the economy of Red River cereal. Well, by my count for you fellas, you've yawned 9 times before we went on the air. What's the idea? Huh?
Well, see, we worked until 3 o'clock this morning, Alan.
That's novel. I didn't know you boys worked.
We call singing work.
I wonder what the audience call it. I bet they're tired today.
I guess we'll have to pull ourselves together, though.
Yes, Al, you could do with a little pulling in at places.
Hey, it's no joke, Alan, really. We're so tired.
Well, let's hear about it, Pop.
Now we were out with some of the boys last night. We had a wonderful evening, set the town alight. My head is just beginning to ache, my feet are not a pair. We're going home as quick as we can, if only we were there. We're so tired, we want to go to bed and tuck our tootsies in the sheets and cover up our heads. We don't want any jam upon our bread. Will somebody come and tuck us in? We want to go to bed. We're yawning, and we won't get up till 10 tomorrow morning. We're so tired, we're feeling to go to bed.
Oh, boy, I don't think I can manage it.
A boxing match with two heavyweights was fought. It lasted several seconds, longer than they thought. Reporters came to both of the men as they lay side by side and asked them why they finished so soon. Then both of them replied,
Oh, boy,
we're so tired, we want to go to bed and tuck our tootsies in the sheets and cover up our pillows. We don't want any jam upon our bread. Will somebody come and tuck us in? We want to go to bed. We're yawning, and we won't get up till 10 tomorrow morning. We're so tired, we're feeling miserably dead. Will somebody come and tuck us in? We want to go to bed.
All right, chum, I'm up.
Say, fellas, one more verse to that song and I'd have been too tired to give a commercial.
Any old day. But it is a beautiful spot for a word about Red River cereal, Al.
You know, Al, the word is getting around real fast about Red River cereal, giving even more for your money now. But just in case someone didn't hear about it, I'd better say that the regular 2-pound package now contains 2 1/4 pounds of Red River cereal. And that means 6 more liberal servings to the package. And at the same price. For wartime, that must be some kind of a record, because nothing about Red River cereal has been changed but the quantity. The grains used in Red River cereal are still thoroughly cleaned and water-washed. And you still get the delicious nut-like flavor and energy-supplying value of the natural wheat and rye, plus whole flax. Now, for a little over half a cent for a liberal serving, Red River cereal gives your family a delicious energy-supplying breakfast dish.
Say, Alan, I hope that tired feeling didn't get through to Bobby Farnan.
Well, I don't think that there noise is a buzzsaw.
Come on, wake up, Bobby. Wake
Where am I and why?
This is the Maple Leaf Milling Company Good Luck Show, Bub.
You don't walk in your sleep, do you, Bobby?
He certainly does. How do you think he gets here?
Gee, and I was having the nicest dream. I was dreaming Al took us all out to dinner.
Brother, that wasn't a dream. That was a nightmare.
I found that out when I had to play the piano to work out the check. Oh? What a check.
What a piano. What did you play?
Bert and I sat down to a couple of pianos and played Easy to Love.
Uh-huh. Well, you're both here, so why not see if you can remember it? But don't go back to sleep, boys. Easy to love and easy to listen to. Well, come on, fellas. Tired or not, we simply have to get the news.
We're ready, Alan, and so is Bobby Farnham.
We all must save our old tin cans that we used to throw away. Your bottle tops and shaving tubes are needed now, they say. Don't even throw a bone out, for Hitler we must trim. Especially don't throw out the bone we've got to pick with him.
We live on the sunny side, where we see the funny side, and through life we'll always be good pals together.
Easy does it, Chuck, easy does it.
Someone went and stole our S's just before we started, and Savvy is responsible that we were not outsmarted. So we could go to press as usual minus all our S's. He simply substituted all the S's for the S's.
We live on the sunny side, where we see the funny side, and through life we'll always be good pals together.
I hope I don't start that stuff. Canada is geared up now, and Hitler never reckoned that we could change from first gear quite so quickly into second. And soon we'll be in third gear. We'll do it or we'll bust. Then we will bury the bloomin' Axis up to their necks in dust. Oh,
we live on the sunny side, where we see the funny side, and through life we'll always be good pals together.
Well, this is the first show I've done in my pajamas. What's life without the news? What is breakfast without Red River cereal? And what would you do if we didn't say cheerio?
Now this is where we say goodbye.
Well, I'm sorry we can't stay to help you clean up the house, girls, but Alan, Bob Harvey, and Bob Farnham's music will be back soon. This is Alan Savvy saying, look for the name Maple Leaf Milling Company on a bag or a package. It's a name that stands for quality.
We had Al and Bob and Al and Bob, and that must have been confusing. TwoAls and two Bobs in that same program. From 1942, the Good Luck Club. 1943, they had another popular show called Jolly Miller Time that went into about the mid-40s or so. Mid-40s, Al Harvey also wrote a popular song with Bert Pearl, which we've heard here. That's the Happy Gang's Don't Play Bingo Tonight, Mother. Al continues with the Northern Airs, the Al Harvey Show on CBC, and a rather interesting one that was on the air in 1950 where he and someone playing his daughter were running a music publishing promotion company. They called it the Song Pluggers. And I'm not going to tell you who's playing the daughter. Let's just see if you recognize this very popular voice who became much more famous about a year or so later. This is from May the 17th of 1950, and the only distinction to this song is that it was the flip side of If I Knew You Were Coming, I'd Have Baked a Cake, but that didn't stop them from pushing it.
Here's a tune from Fears.
Yeah?
We haven't had one from them for quite a while.
What's it called?
Poco Loco in the Coco.
Yikes! How does it sound when it's translated?
Well, it's just another way of saying bats in the belfry, shingles loose on the roof, vacant room in the attic.
Oh, you mean crazy?
Sure. Would you like to sing this one with me?
Okay, let's put our cocos together and poco through this loco too.
They were sitting by the sea, 'neath a mango tree, with a Mexicali moon above.
Good up to now, anyway.
She looked at him, and he looked at her.
Oh-ho.
Then he whispered these words of love. I'm going poco loco in the coco. Poco loco in the coco. I'm going poco loco in the coco. A little crazy in the head for you. You got me putting pepper in my jello. Say goodbye instead of hello. I'm going poco loco in the coco. Because of you I don't know what to do. Mountains I'd climb, rivers I'd swim, nothing I would decline.
I'll even work once in a while if you'll consent to be mine.
See, I'm going poco loco in the coco. Poco loco in the coco. I'm going poco loco in the coco. A little crazy in the head for you.
cash, we'd make a beautiful pair. I'm going poco loco in the coco. Poco loco in the coco. I'm going poco loco in the coco. A little crazy in the head, body in the beat, daffy in the dough, naughty in the nut, crazy in the head for you. Poco loco, huh?
Anybody?
Giselle Mackenzie.
Right.
Giselle Mackenzie.
Giselle. She wasn't Mackenzie yet. She was just Giselle. We knew her on radio as just Giselle because she refused to use her last name, which was La Flèche. As she said, it made me sound like a stripper. A year or so later, she's recording for Capitol, and she's a big hit in the States. But here she is with Al Harvey in 1950. The Harvey name just seems to disappear after 1951. I think they may have gone into artist management, production, or sunk into a bottle. I really don't know what happened to the guys. Canadian biographies just don't seem to have most of the stuff that we'd say. Just because they aren't world famous, why don't we even still list them? I got one more piece of audio for you, and again, it's a duet, and it's on a disc that was unlabeled, but I found upstairs at the A&A in the mid-60s. They had a private area upstairs. Somebody said, hey, you want to look at some old 78s we've got up here? I think they came from Dick McDougall, CBC broadcaster who died in the late 50s. And here we are with no label on it whatsoever, and it turns out to be Al Harvey and Dick McDougall doing a not too bad job of harmony on another song that was popular in 1950.
Get out those old records, those old phonograph records, the ones we used to play so long ago.
Sing it, Tom.
What if they sound scratchy? The tunes really were catchy, and especially those that said, I love you so. I used to beg you over and over just to set the wedding day. To get you comfortable, I'd bring my portable and melt your heart away with all those old records, those old phonograph records, the ones we used to play so long ago.
It's upside down right now. You better get it turned up the right way. You take it from here now, son.
Get out those old records, those old phonograph records, the ones we used to play so long ago. On the old part of thick how they sound. Ardy-goo was scratchy, the tunes and the really were catchy, and especially those that said I love you so. Yakahula, I used to beg you over and over, just set the wedding day. Meet me on the back porch, I'd bring my porch to melt your heart away with all those old. They were wonderful records, those old phonograph records, the ones we used to play so long ago. So long ago. So long ago.
Al Harvey and Dick McDougall, 1950. That is about it, except for one more video that Mark found. Said, you know, we got too much material here, let's save it for the end. Well, we're pretty close to the end, and we do have time for it. Here we go.
Hello, Bob. Where
you go with that funny outfit on?
Oh, I'm going down to the ice rink, Al.
The ice rink?
Yeah, why don't you come along?
Oh, I'm afraid I can't skate good enough.
Oh, come on along. You'll soon pick it up, and you'll have more fun than you've had for a long time.
You really think so?
I do, yeah. Give me a few chords on that old piano, and I'll tell you why.
Right on.
We used to sit round the house feeling blue, looking for something exciting to do. But now all our troubles are things of the past. The family's gone crazy on skating at last. Gee, but it's nice as we glide down the ice. Whoops, we go again. What if we spill? Every tumble's a thrill. Whoops, we go again. Skating in rhythm, we all swing along. Give me your hand and you'll never go wrong. Join in the chorus as we sing this song. Whoops, we go again. Whoops, we go again. Whoops, we go again. Father's the best in the family so far. When he's figure skating, he looks like a star. But after he's had one or two at the bar, whoops, we go again. Mother fell down, but she seemed none the worse. A couple of aspirins will help, said the nurse. Ma said, I've no headache, it's quite the reverse. Whoops, we go again. Poor Auntie Maud started off in a fright. We said if you fall, it will still be all right, 'cause they made the ice from salt water tonight. Whoops, we go again. Gee, but it's nice as we glide down the ice. Whoops, we go again. What if we spill? Every tumble's a thrill. Whoops, we go again. Old Uncle George thought he'd join in the fun. We knew what would happen before he'd begun. He got so tangled up, we can't get him undone. Whoops, we go again. Well, are you going to join me out? I certainly am, Bob. All right, we go.
There we go.